Dark Mirror, Chapter 9. Toa Tuyet stood over the battered, semi-conscious body of Takanuva, Toa of Light. He did not stir. Being blown through half a dozen walls by a focused tidal wave would do that to you. Tuyet smiled. Pathetic. Truly pathetic. If you are an example of what Toa are like in your universe, it's a wonder you haven't all been hunted to extinction by now. The ruler of the Toa Empire slipped off her mask of intangibility and replaced it with a Kanoe Olmec, the mask Takanuva had come seeking. This mask alone had the power to open gateways to interdimensional space, and it was Takanuva's only hope of escaping this twisted world. Your friends outside are dead, or soon will be. I admit I was surprised to find they still had some fight left in them after 3,500 years. But they can't be allowed to rob the Matoran of the peace I have brought them. Takanuva managed to get to his hands and knees, rubble sliding off his back as he did so. He looked at Tuyet with eyes that held equal parts of contempt and pity. Peace? He said in disbelief. Is that what you call perverting the Toa into secret police? Terrorizing the villagers? Killing anyone who opposes your rule? I did what had to be done. I made the world right. And who are you to judge me? You're nothing but an alien from some other dimension. Takanuva hurled a blast of shadow at Tuyet, temporarily cloaking her in darkness. By the time she could see again, he was gone. But his voice came from high above her, saying, That's true, my world is messier than yours, more dangerous in some ways. But it is a world that's better, because you're not in it, Tuyet. The Toa of Water unleashed her power, bringing the ceiling down. But Takanuva was not there. Instead, he sprang for the opening at the far end of the hall, hurling blinding light at Tuyet as he made a grab for her mask. She spun, caught him by the arm, and threw him hard to the floor. I have hundreds of times your power. You are nothing but a light stone to be ground to dust beneath my heel. Takanuva attacked again, hurling bolts of shadow and light. To his amazement, Tuyet parried them with ease. Seeing his surprise, she laughed. You know, we had no Toa of Light in this universe. We didn't need one. And in a few moments, we will be back to being without one. Takanuva charged. The next few seconds were a blaze of battle. Lasers turning water to steam, waves crashing against walls, a race to see what would happen first. Takanuva drowning in the tide, or Tuyet drowning in darkness. When the fight was through, Tuyet stood once more triumphant. Enough! I have wasted enough time on you. Your rebellion is finished, and now so are you. Tuyet was about to strike when a strange sound penetrated the damaged Colosseum. Takanuva raised his head and glanced at a hole in the wall. He saw thousands of Matoran marching toward the building, all of them armed. In the distance, he could see airships and seagoing vessels carrying other Matoran, Dark Hunters, Vortex and others. All of them were descending on the city, their eyes fixed on the Colosseum. Still think the rebellion is over? Takanuva asked. Or maybe it's just beginning. The fools? With my power, I can sweep them all away in a flood like no one has seen before. Takanuva looked right into Tuyet's eyes. Then who would they be left to protect? Who would you have made your perfect universe for? Tuyet smiled. Very clever, Toa. True, a universe with only drowned Matoran would not be of much use to anyone, but they must be taught respect. Why? If they're so ungrateful, why not use your mask to travel somewhere else? Someplace that needs you. Start over again, in another Metronui, one where they might welcome a ruler like you. Tuyet glanced down at the street. The mob was moving closer, and though she could easily kill them all, it would leave her as the ruler of an empire of corpses. Perhaps Takanuva was right. At the least, she could leave and return with an army of Toa from another dimension, enough to stamp out every last visage of rebellion in her own world. She turned away and activated her mask. A portal into interdimensional space opened before her, and she prepared to step in. That was when Takanuva made his move. He somehow managed to hurl himself at Tuyet, snatching the mask from her face. For the second it lost contact with her, its power shut off, and the portal began to close. Takanuva, mask in hand, dove through, but Tuyet was not about to let him escape so easily. Even as he cleared the portal, she grabbed onto his leg, trying to follow him. She blasted him with hard bolts of water, catching his hand and tearing the mask from his grasp. It floated away into the space between dimensions. Takanuva turned back. What he saw horrified him, but his shout of warning came too late. Tuyet was halfway through the portal, trying to drag Takanuva back in. She was so consumed by rage that she never noticed the portal closing until it was much too late. She screamed as reality slammed shut on her body, leaving her upper half in the void and the lower half in the Colosseum on her world. Mercifully, death came instantly. Takanuva hovered in space for a long moment. He wondered what would happen in Tuyet's universe with her gone. Would the Toa become protectors again? Would the Matoran take control? Or would some group of Dark Hunters and Makuta become new dictators? Perhaps someday, if he was able, he would return to find out the answer. He turned his head away from the remains of Tuyet, wondering how a Toa could go so wrong, and realizing with a shudder what a fine line it could be between justice and tyranny. Tuyet's life had been wasted, but the lives of no more Toa would be lost if he could prevent it. With grim resolve, he resumed his journey to Kardanui. The end.